guys. I'm here today with Lola. She is another keto slash carnivore bodybuilder. Yes, I say bodybuilder because she's someone who's actively trying to build their body. We just had this brief discussion prior to this recording. Hopefully, we're going to go into this topic a little bit further and talk about what she's currently doing. So, hello and welcome to my channel.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Could you outline what you're currently doing then and what your goals are? Because I understand there's not many people in our space doing, especially what you're doing.
Mhm. Yeah. For the most part, I have always been kind of I have always been working towards my goals of just being in optimal health and fitness. And it hasn't been until I used to do a lot of CrossFit. But over the years, I have transitioned over to bodybuilding, and I enjoy it a lot more. Plus, I've gotten way better results from it too. Um, and currently, I'm actually doing a reverse diet. So I'm currently in a building phase. But my main goals are just to be in the best shape possible for myself all the time. And then, of course, as a health coach, I want to be in the best possible shape for other people to see me as, I guess, a leader in the space, right?
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of taking a different approach in this. Everyone that watches my channel knows that I'm very camera shy and I don't like to show much skin. This will be the first recording that comes out where I'm actually not wearing a top. So I'm trying to attract the right audience here and promote myself in that way because, when you just see my head on camera, it doesn't really reflect on what I look like underneath. When people meet me in person, they're often shocked. So that comes into it as well.
I feel the same way. I'm kind of usually like from the waist up more than anything else. And I'm a little camera shy too, in the sense that I don't really do a lot of posing on camera or anything like that. But yeah, and I guess another thing that I didn't really mention this to anyone else yet, but I'm maybe thinking towards towards a possible bodybuilding competition in the future. I'm turning 40 next week, so maybe when I'm 43, 44.
Yeah, that's a good time frame. I mean, whenever you start training, I think people should have you train for a while, but like when you actively think, okay, I'm going to be doing bodybuilding now, I think most people should be giving it probably 3 or 4 years to really maximize what they can currently do with the genetics they
Yeah.
have. And I mean, what sort of time frame are you looking at for a competition? So, like, say for example, you're thinking you're 40 now, you want to compete when you're 43. Would you look at doing a year contest prep, 6 months, 3 months, and what sort of time frame do you think would be useful?
Yeah, I would want it to be maybe 6 months. I wouldn't want to drag it out for an entire year. I don't know. But I've never done a contest prep before, so I don't I don't really know what that would look like or how I'm going to feel when I'm in it. So we'll see. We'll see when we get there.
Yeah, I think that's a sensible approach. I mean, if you can get yourself into a lean sort of state prior to that, and when I say lean, I mean like
Mhm.
not far off. Like you just got to shed like 10 pounds or something. Then you'll have a good
Right.
idea where you're at. I think you'll get to a point where you're like, oh, I could do it in 2 months, or I could do it in six. So yeah.
Right. I think that's I mean, the whole purpose behind really building prior to, and obviously maintaining a lean body, so to speak, will make the prep a little bit easier. So hopefully.
Yeah, I think the same. I mean, I like to stay quite lean throughout all myself. I don't like to be really above 15% body fat. That's why I basically just vaguely have abs. But I found now I'm at the point now where I've learned body enough, and you'll find the same thing yourself down the line if you look to compete. You'll do this show in 3 years' time. You think, well, that was easy or that was hard, and you'll be able to assess exactly what you need to do, and you'll find you'll get into your natural sort of state where you can peak quite quickly. I think. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
What's your current diet looking at like it then? Is it you've done? I mean, your handle's like paleo, low looking things. Is that you doing a paleo diet? Is it you going more into carnivore now? Or?
Yeah, I'm mostly keto carnivore now. Paleo Lola stuck with me. So I see paleo as like the base, right? So that's where I started. And that's, it got me a pretty far way. Um, but I think, and so still, even now, let's say I have like, maybe I go on vacation. In my mind, as long as I'm keeping it paleo, I'm still in a good place. You know what I mean? So that's where I see that from. And then, of course, I started paleo and my handle was paleo Lola. So it just kind of stayed that way, and everybody calls me that now. And I'm okay with that. Um, and then I coach people. My clients mainly, do paleo, and then some of them will go into the keto carnivore later on, but they all start on a paleo diet, right? Because they're coming from a standard American diet. And so I think that the paleo diet is a great place to start. And then, you just kind of refine from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, getting from straight from a standard Western diet, I see people do this all the time. They go from standard Western diet to like the Lion diet. I'm like, that was like probably the biggest mistake they've made. You're gonna fall off instantly. Your
Yeah,
gut's
it's
not
so
tolerate what you're putting into it, and you're not fat adapted. So there's steps to it, definitely. Yeah.
right, right. So if you take it by steps, I mean, they'll have a greater chance of succeeding on their diet. But then I have had people who it might be just easier to um, start from scratch. So you take them to like a carnivore diet and then, build from there, right? So if they don't want to be carnivore, but they're also struggling to figure out like, you know, what can I eat? And it's like, okay, well, it's a paleo diet, but they just have so many questions and they're so used to processed foods and that is just too hard to decide or to really understand for them, right? So if you take them and just say, okay, we're going to do carnivore for 2 weeks and then build from there. And okay, in the next 2 weeks, you can introduce vegetables and then you can introduce fruit. You know what I mean? And you can build their diet from there. So it just depends on the person, maybe though.
Yeah, my viewers might have got quite upset there. We're very strict and adamant carnivores over here. But
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
if you can get, I think the point is, if you can get someone away from doing, a standard Western diet, it's going to be miles better. So
Yep.
wherever they end up, it's going to be more sustainable, better health outcomes, and probably better for building a physique as well. So what are you doing currently for training? How does that look like?
I do you know Mind Pump?
Mind Pump Radio, yes.
Yeah, okay. So they have lots of like training programs and stuff like that. And I usually go with their programs because I'm not a certified personal trainer and I don't build my own programs. So I do their programs and I really enjoy them because they're full body workouts, right? And instead of doing one body part a day, you do the whole body and then every other day.
Mm.
And so I find that allows me to really go hard on the days that on my work day and then rest on I get a good rest and I'm able to go hard again when it's my turn to go.
Yeah, I think that's quite a sensible approach. I mean, I think doing any kind of single body part split is a bit daft, like doing chest one day, back then. I think that's ridiculous. You can't get enough frequency in. And it means that you're spending a lot of time just not really building or like at least tearing some muscle fibers down. So I think, like most people I'm speaking with are doing a freeway split, but probably the
Mhm.
most spread out you could probably do it. A lot of people are doing a full body split. So I think it's pretty appropriate and it does work very well for people like ourselves.
Yeah, it does. It works pretty good. And I was doing what was it, Jim Stepani before. Have you ever done Jim Stepani's workouts? That,
I've not done someone else's workouts in
oh,
years.
uh, I do, yeah. So he has some great stuff, but it was like almost 6 days of work. And I was in there for an hour and a half to 2 hours every time. So it's a lot of time to be in there. It doesn't really give me a whole lot of time to recover from it either. So
Yeah,
I
I'd
really like,
agree. Yeah, I mean, I can see where you come from there because, I mean, I came from a very, very athletic background. I did lots of sport. I'd spend probably 20 hours a week doing some sort of physical activity. When I say physical, I mean, I was like sprinting. I was doing heavy weightlifting. I was doing, football, rugby, American football. I was doing a lot of stuff. Um, but what I found is that I couldn't really progress with my physique because my recovery capacity was so impaired. What I'm now doing is something probably similar to you. I'm doing about four, yeah, so between 3 and 5 sessions a week, but usually four. On my rest days, I'm maximizing my recovery because my training right now is probably quite similar to yours. It's intense, it's hard, and my body's not going to let me do it like 3 times in a week,
Right.
at least the same body part. So that's kind of where I stand. I mean, what are you doing now for reps and sets? Do you find like you following a certain parameter, or do you just go by feel? What are you doing there?
Do I follow what? I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Like an amount, like a repetition or a set scheme.
Oh, yeah. So the phase that I'm in right now is 8 to 12 for 3 reps, depending on the body part. I think for like uh, the smaller um, the smaller muscles is like a higher is a will be like a higher sets and but still the same amount of reps. So like for back squat, for example, is like 3 sets of 8 to 12 right now. I think next week I'm going to 8 to 12 and then there's going to be a superset with it. But um if it's like curls, it's 4 sets of the same 8 to 12. You know what I mean? So the smaller muscles have a few more sets in them.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you find that I mean, when you're doing these 4 sets, say for biceps, are you doing, say, the same weight each time? You're getting 12, 12, 12, 12, or you're getting 12, 10, 8, 8, or do you vary the actual weight you use at all?
So I'll warm up to that weight and then I won't start my set until I'm at the weight that I want to work. And then I find that if it's really if it's tough, maybe my last set I might not get to the 12 reps, but I definitely don't drop weight. If it feels light, then I'll add weight, but for the most part I stay the same for all 4 sets or 3 sets.
Yeah, that's good going. I struggle to do that myself. Do you record what you're doing for training at all? So do you have a like a logbook where you know you do X kilograms or pounds or whatever measurement?
Um well I try to increase it. So it's kind of progressive overload, right? So um if I you want to know how much I do for what?
Anything like would you do? Well, if you're doing a barbell squat, would you use a certain weight? Then next week think, oh, I'm going to do more of that next week, or
Yeah, so I'll add some weight the following week unless it was like really, really tough to get through them all, then I might stay at the same weight. But sometimes, like if I feel that I've been stuck on the same amount of weight for 2 weeks, then I'll increase the weight regardless and then just try to hit at least the 8 reps until I'm able to break that plateau. You know what I mean?
yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, you can sort of you can grind it out for weeks on end, but what I find is most people they either have to change the exercise.
Mhm.
There's always going to be a sticking point. So, for example, if it's a say it's a bench press or a chest press, and it's the lockout you struggle with, um, you might progress the bottom part of the movement, the eccentric part, but when you're trying to lock it out, there'll be a weakness to your muscles that you need to address, and will be that you have to do more strength training in like a lockout position. Do you
Right.
ever use that sort of thing? So, do you ever think? I mean, obviously you're focused on building your body. Do you ever use elements of strength training to build your body? So, do you have any sort of ideas around that?
Oh yeah. So you mean elements of strength training like strength
Yeah,
versus
so like
yeah.
doing a partial repetition, a
Oh,
lockout, or
I see what you mean. I haven't tried yet to do like quarter squats and I haven't tried that kind of thing yet. It's usually like full squats. I haven't ventured into that yet. I guess since it hasn't been programmed into my programs, I haven't done it. Um I would have to do it on my own, but maybe, if I have to once I get closer to if I decided to get on stage, then I might have to go into that. I mean, I definitely don't think that I'd be able to continue with the program that I have now if I were trying to get on stage. I'd probably even need to go to a full gym. Right now I do the gym, what I have in my garage, which I have everything, right? I have a rack and I have all the dumbbells and I have kettlebells and I even have the pulley system to do like lats and all that stuff. So but I definitely think that I probably need some more equipment or to go to a full gym eventually, but I haven't tried the quarter squats and stuff like that.
Yeah, all these like little add-on things, they're not going to be integral parts of your training, I don't think. You're going to notice that what you're currently doing is going to build up 90% of what you've when you're trying to get a bit more trap or front delt, you'll find it will have to do a cable raise in a certain position just to get the extra bit out, if that makes sense. Yeah,
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Once I have to sharpen, I might need a few more things.
yeah. When I say it, just to be clear to the viewers, I'm not saying to get more definition that you need to do isolation work or more reps. I don't think that works at all. I think I'm specifically talking about building strength in certain parts of the repetition range where perhaps you're a bit
Mhm.
weaker, you have to isolate in a certain way. Do you have any other sort of methods you use? So you kind of use like 3 or 4 sets of 8 to 12 in your current base of training. Do you use any intensifiers? So, I mean, you do supersets, is there drop sets, things like that in there?
Yeah, so next week I'm starting a new phase and it has a lot of supersets. Pretty much everything will have a superset with it. I haven't really looked at what's going to be in it, but it's like everything starts, the week always starts with back squat. So it'll be back squat probably. And then I don't know what they'll use as the superset, but it's going to be 3 sets of 8 to 15 for each movement. So it's going to be pretty intense, I think.
Yeah. Do you know how many sets you're doing per workout at the moment? Is it you imagine you're doing like a full body sort of split or something along those lines? Are you doing like 20 sets or more or less?
How many sets am I doing? It's a full body split and it's what is it? I guess maybe like what is it? 30 sets total? Because I have like 6 to 7 movements and each one is 3 to 4 sets.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'll see that number go down when you get into contest prep. You'll get burnt out when you get very lean. You'll probably and
Oh
some
yeah.
people do it, but when you train very hard and you sound like myself, you sound like someone who's very meticulous and you want to get the most out of the least kind of thing. Um, you will get to a point where you're going to be doing like 15 sets in a workout and that'll be it.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Do
Yeah,
you do
once
any?
when I start cutting food.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Do you do any cardio at all or any kind of I know there's big debate. I've got my own thoughts about it myself, but do you do steady state cardio, interval training, or just go for walks with your dog or whatever?
I just walk right now. I try to get like 15,000 steps a day. Um and that's usually my goal. Recently I've been a little more stationary than I like to because I've been working on, I've just had a lot of work. And I really noticed the difference. My steps have gone down to like 9,000 a day and I feel the difference for sure. So I'm trying to be like, okay, where can I fit in more walking between my work? Um, so yeah, that's usually what I do. But when I'm really trying to lean down, I do like to do sprinting. I don't really like to do like long, steady state cardio for a lot, miles and stuff. I really don't like it. Um, so I'll do sprints instead. And, it can add up. It usually adds up to a pretty good amount.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, you're doing a lot better than me. I'm doing like 2,000 steps per day at most at the moment.
How many steps?
About 2,000.
Oh,
I'm a
that's
very sedentary person. It's the way I am, though. I'm not. I'm a very sedentary, calm, solitary
uh-huh.
kind of person. It's like even if I try my hardest, like I did 15,000 roughly in my last contest prep, and I was so well out. That was insane for me.
That's,
So
you
that's right. I like
I think that I'm a mom and a wife, right? So I also run my household, and I think that really being a mother and cleaning your house and cooking and doing all of these things adds up a lot of steps because sometimes if I don't go on my walks, but I've been around the house a lot, I'll notice that I get a lot of steps in, and that's just from like doing household chores. So
Yeah, I think it's
I,
this extra activity you sort of mentioned is it's kind of in the background, but it's there. Like my partner, she does probably 2 to 3,000 more steps than me. Um,
mhm.
when I was more mobile. but she's also doing all the stuff around the house. I tend to sit in front of the screen like I am now and say things. That's pretty much what I do.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
does it work with your clients? I mean, you work with a like 40-year-old women and above, or just any age group?
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
So how does it work when you're coaching clients then? Is it you focus on like health or nutrition or diet? What do you use as
Mhm.
tool? And is it that you help them to lose fat or get them to training, or is it more mental health stuff?
So no, it's more health stuff like nutrition wise. I do also have them do weight training. So, and I'll share the like same mind pup programs with them and they'll do those. Um, and then, but mostly I focus on nutrition. And a lot of the people that I work with, I mean, we're Americans. So there's, the American diet is really terrible. So they need a lot of help with the nutrition first. And so I try to focus on getting them their nutrition wise first, changing their lifestyle, changing the kinds of food that they eat, and then slowly change, improve on that. And then the strength training I added in from the very beginning, but again, a lot of them don't are not in shape enough to even do that. So we have to start walking and you know get them a little bit more, eating better, walking more, moving more, and then they'll start doing more of the lifting as
Yeah,
time goes.
yeah, that does make sense. I mean, you can't just drop everyone to do strict carnivore diet with 4 times per week, full body training and aggressive.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy to adapt to and sustain. I mean, I coach quite a few people, and I do find that I can have two people with the same, what's the way, like two women, same age, same sort of body composition. Um, their lifestyles are so different and their backgrounds so different. So they're not, they'd end up doing a similar sort of training program eventually, but their starting point with me would be quite different.
Mhm.
Probably it's the same thing yourself. And I mean, obviously, you do the. I mean, do you find there's a lot of objections to the diet that you give your clients? Is it that the carnivore diet's too strict for them? Is it
Mhm.
easy to phase them in through paleo?
Um, yeah. Well, they do have objections, obviously, because I'm taking away a lot of what they're used to. Plus, they question a lot. They question how red meat is bad for them. They question salt. They question fat. They question all of those things. And so it takes a lot of convincing and like showing them, you know, how none of the things that they've thought all of these years are true. So it does take a little bit of convincing, but the paleo diet is one that they can really get behind because it's like there's vegetables and there's fruit in it. You know what I mean? And so once they've got that, then I can convince them to try eliminating some of the stuff or going more keto. And but I struggle with the keto with clients because it's a whole other thing now. Like they have to start weighing their food, they have to start checking their ketones, they have to start, and so you're adding more things to something that's already very new to them. So I really have to take it very slow.
Yeah, I find the same thing really. I mean, most people that I consult with or help, they come from the carnivore diet, but they've jumped into it. They've done it too quickly. They've come from disordered eating. They come from a background where ultimately they don't quite have the tools to start the proper carnivore diet yet. So I just phase them into it. And I often find that with a bit of uh, tender guidance, they're sort of they get their make their way there in the end. I do find that it's like a step by step approach. They'll be having more nutritious foods, they start to feel better, they sleep a bit better. Then
Mhm.
they gain that trust in me and what I'm telling them. Then they start to think, oh, I'll try the other stuff now. The getting rid of the blue light at night time,
Oh
waking
yeah.
in the morning, getting proper sunlight, all the other sort of more, in my opinion, not secondary, but people would see it as secondary things, the lifestyle stuff.
Hmm.
Once you can get them onto that, then the results get excelled dramatically, I find. Um, You go into that stuff as well. Obviously, you focus on diet, but is there any sort of other sort of modalities or methods you use to get
Right.
people in a better state?
I get a lot of comments from women about their energy, right? That's a big thing. Like, they don't have the energy to work out. They don't have the energy. And so a lot of times I think that getting them to understand that it's kind of a cycle, right? If you go to bed at a decent hour and you get off your phone, you're going to feel better in the morning. You're going to wake up with more time and you're going to have breakfast. And so that's going to help you throughout the day to make better choices, which will then you'll have energy to maybe go for a walk after work or go to the gym if that's where we're at. Um, but it's, you know, all of these things have to be in play if you want to have energy, right? All of it, the nutrition side of it. I feel like they can't even make the right nutrition choices, food choices, if they don't have that in place. You know what I mean? Because if they're tired and hungry, they're going to be more likely to like not eat what they should be eating.
Yeah,
So I really try to push that from the very beginning. Sleep is a huge part of my program too, right? And so I call it the SLEW method, right? Um, it's a sleep, lift, eat, and walk. And
yeah,
if you can get those things down constantly, you're going to improve, even if that's all you did. You know what I mean?
yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think there's definitely a lot of benefit to be had from just applying those simple things. When you label it like that, give it a what's the word, like an anagram or an acronym, whatever it is, makes it seem so much easier. It's
Hmm.
more adoptable, I think. Now, before we wrap this up, one last question:
Hmm.
do we need carbs to build muscle?
I don't think so. No, I don't think we need carbs to build muscle. Um, I find that I've been building muscle a lot better actually on my carnivore and keto diet than I did when I was on carbs. I feel better. I feel stronger, and I feel just as strong in the gym as I did before. And I look better. So I don't think so at all.
Yeah, I kind of think the same thing. I think it's not so much that the diet does a lot in terms of building more or less muscle. I think it's more the things that you learn outside of the diet and how you feel as a result of the diet, which
Mhm.
recovery, that sort of thing improves. Now,
Cover-
where can people find you if you want to be found?
Definitely Paleo Lola on Instagram. And I have my link tree on there. So there's uh, a contact form there so they can schedule a consultation with me, and then Facebook. But mainly my main thing is Instagram, and then my contact info is on there too.
What I'm do is link those below in the chat or the descriptions.
Yeah.
Find them. Make it easy for you guys. If you want to get in touch with her, please do. She's going to give some good advice, and I would take a free consult. I mean, I always charge for them, so good on you.
Yes, there's definitely a free consult.
Cheers for that. Take care.
Thanks. Nice talking to you.